Hey everyone, it's Bree, and I am so excited for this challenge for the Erica Rose Creates May online crop. As you know, I am a huge mixed media person. I love mixed media backgrounds, so my challenge for y'all is to create one. And I am going to be using a bunch of shimmers, paints, sprays, and then I'm also going to be using a stencil and some paste. Now, I have prepped my piece of thick white cardstock with some plain white gesso, and then I'm going to go ahead and stick my magnets down on my mat so it can hold my paper to help minimize the warping, because I am going to add lots of paste as well as lots of liquid on top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly and lightly press some paste through my stencil. Now I'm just using some Ranger white texture paste. There's no glitter, there's nothing, it's just a plain matte white. And I'm using the stencil, I think this is one of the Vicky Bouton ones from a few collections ago. I love using just plain white paste and then adding color right on top for a background. I love the texture, I love the look, I love the dimension, and it's just really nice to see the paste come through once you add color onto it. So I'm going to be using the Summer 11 collection from Simple Stories, and what I did is I went through all of my shimmers sprays and chose colors that matched perfectly. So I've got a pink, I'm using this other pink right here, it's got gold flecks in it, and it's kind of like a peachy pink in a way, but I wanted both of them. So what I'm doing is I'm going in rainbow order. I spritz some clean water onto my background first, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply the color. Now I am just spraying right on. I am being careful. I am kind of getting close to my paper because I really don't want too much overspray. Now, if you were to look at my background, there is quite a bit, because, when you use spray bottles, you really don't have control, because, sometimes they get clogged and they kind of just go everywhere. So just kind of use caution if you choose to spray directly onto your backgrounds if you're using a spray bottle or like a mist, or you could spray on your work surface and then go through and paint like I'm doing here. I'm just adding some extra color. Now I did bring out the blue, and then I didn't like that I brought it out too much. So with gesso, what's great about it is you can sop it and clean it right up. Even if there is overspray, I can add clean water and kind of wipe away any color that maybe I didn't want, or the overspray, or I went too far out. That's the magic of gesso. You can kind of fix what you've any mistakes that you make, but just kind of do it quickly so it doesn't set too much. All right, so here is the final background. Look at that texture and dimension. Since I am using shimmer sprays, there is a lot of shimmer, and it's just so fabulous. And I liked that the colors ran and blended together and just looked amazing. Now, another tip is you could color your paste, and you could do the same technique, but actually color your paste beforehand. That's always fun. Now, when you choose to do your mixed media background, you don't have to do the exact same thing that I did. If you don't want to work with paste or do stencils, that's fine. That's totally fine. You could just watercolor a background. You could paint. You could take Nuvo drops or the color pops from Scrapbook.com and scrape a background. You can do anything you want. Just get messy, get creative. Now, I do have to say, if it does look like a mess or you don't really like it, maybe just keep going with it. Now, I will admit, there has been several backgrounds that I've started that I wasn't a fan of, and I just set them aside and I started over. But there are quite a few that I've started that I maybe wasn't a fan of, but I kept going and I really ended up liking it at the end. And as you know, that if you do create a background, a lot of it gets covered up. So if you do have little mistakes here or there, that's fine. You can always cover it up with your photo or a title or ephemera and embellishments. So yeah, so that is your challenge, is to create a mixed media background. All I'm doing right now is just embellishing. I've scrapped these photos before. I just printed them twice, not sure why I did. So, and I don't like to waste, especially, photos, because, editing and choosing and cropping and all that stuff, it's a lot of work. So even if I've already scrapbooked it or scrapbook photos, I don't mind scrapping them again. So these were perfect. I just matted them with paper from the collections and kind of like staggered them and nestled my title like right in the middle of them. So I've got a few different embellishment clusters. I've added some tangled thread. I'm tucking in some stickers, puffy stickers. I did add some of the decorative brads. And then lastly, I am going to add some enamel dots as a finishing touch. So yes, I love to get messy, as you know. I love to create backgrounds. I think they're so fun. They add so much like pops of color and just add so much more to a page that sometimes you really don't need to embellish heavily because your background does a lot of the work for you. So you could use Distress Oxide inks to create your background. Like I said, watercolor palettes, like shimmer sprays. Here is the final layout. You can see all that texture dimension and just a lot of the interest from the paste with the sprays sitting on top of it. So yeah, I hope you have fun in this or with this challenge. I hope you guys are having a great long weekend. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pop in and out of like the chat, but I will see you around in the Facebook group. And thanks again, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.